Salam alaikum and welcome back to my channel. This is my second video I record in English and I want to talk a little bit about my spiritual journey toward Islam, how it began and how it developed my faith. I will not share about specifically about my shahada because I want to keep that moment very private and very intimate to myself, but I will share as I said, my journey toward Islam and in Islam. I must say to begin this video that for all my life before Islam, I've been a very fearful person. I had for all my life a strong, a deep, a profound fear of death. Such fear of death, I overcame this fear of death just with Islam. Islam gave me a sense of purpose, a sense of direction in my life, and make me to understand, reading the Quran, praying, and living my life toward Allah, that I must not fear death, that life is beautiful and even death can be a moment of joy and peace if we live all of our life in the direction of Allah and in the hands of faith and religion. So after saying this introduction about how Islam helped me to live in a more peaceful and serene way, I must say that I began to study Islam around June 2024, so around 2 years ago exactly, and I started to read a lot of books about Islam. I read about, at the beginning, more generic books and later on more specific books, even about Sufism and mysticism in Islam. And in that moment, I immediately understood that all the things that we listen, all the things that we hear in television or on social network about Islam are most often simply not true. That Islam is more beautiful and is more peaceful and is more holy than what we hear and what we listen and what we read on the newspaper or on television. That I understood that to really understand the faith of Islam, the beauty of Islam, the joy of practice in Islam, we must really study Islam for what it is. And when I started to read the Quran, I immediately felt that that spiritual book was just the right one for myself. Because in that book, I found some, I will say, perfect answers about my faith, about my doubts, about my need to understand and to believe. So Islam, it's been a religion that I will say that, yes, I discovered Islam, but in some way Islam has discovered myself. It's like Allah wanted me to discover Islam. Yes, I studied Islam, I studied the Quran, I started to pray and I started to live with joy and happiness this beautiful religion. But I always had this sense that, in fact, I was pushed toward Islam by Allah, that it was not really my choice. And so I feel this as the most wonderful and the most beautiful and the most grateful way to live my life, because Islam really made me a more grateful person, a more humble person, and a person who understands better his way and his also, during this period of studying Islam, I also started to read about other religion like Christianity or like even Oriental religions, because for me personally, uh, religion and faith must dialogue together in peace. We we must search this kind of interfaith relationship between people and between different cultures. And so, yes, I studied Islam and the Quran, and in that book I found really a direction for myself. But from the very beginning, I always felt that all religion are in itself some beauty, some truth, and uh, some words and some messages to study, to understand, and to practice. Because I must say that before becoming Muslim, I was a Christian, even if I was not a Christian who practiced that faith. And in 2 months, when I studied especially Islam, I started also to pray, as and that was really a gift from Allah, Alhamdulillah, because I never prayed, as I said, in my life before. And then I started to pray a lot and a lot, with so much joy, with so much sense of belonging to something more universal, to something more to something more beautiful, to something more whole and holy. And of course, it took some time to learn the prayer in Arabic. It took some time to learn to pray in the exact way without making any mistake. I will say it took me almost a year later on to understand all the prayer in Arabic, to understand how to pray without any mistakes in the various position on in the various standings or prostration of the salah. But it was just a beauty from Allah. I felt like when I pray, I felt like I was finally belonging. I was finally at home. I was finally in peace. I felt like my restless soul, my restless character was finding a, a place to be in peace. To be in peace with other people, to be in peace with my God, to be in peace with the world around myself and around us. So this is my journey toward Islam. And I think the most beautiful thing about this is that before, I will say, randomly discovering Islam, I was really not a faithful person at all. I was, I, I was never going to church. I never prayed. I feared death. I never read a spiritual book, anything like that. But something happened in my life, something that even go beyond my understanding of myself and the mystery we live in. So I'm very grateful for this. I am very grateful that Allah guided me toward Islam. Alhamdulillah. And yeah, for me, this story, the story of my faith, the story of the journey in my faith, and my journey toward a life that is more complete in a way, because faith to me personally has the goal to complete and to reunite the human being. And so for me, this means a lot. I want to conclude this video sharing with you one of the first verses of the Quran I memorized because it's very meaningful to me as a person who strongly believe in the interfaith dialogue between different faith, different religions, and different beliefs. And that verses of the Quran, I know it in Italian, but I will try to translate it in English. It says something like this: We divided we divided you in people and tribes, in different people and tribes, so you can meet each other, so you can dialogue each other. You know, it says something like that. Allah wanted we to believe in different things, to be divided in different nations and different tradition. So we, through these different traditions, through these different beliefs, we can meet each other, we can dialogue with each other, and we can love each other as simply human beings, because we are all human beings. So this is maybe the most important message for me in Islam, that Islam is the most complete, is the most holy, is the final revelation, um, and this is a reason to be grateful. But Islam also teaches us to respect other people, to be patient with other people, to love other people. So yes, I wanted to share a little bit about my spiritual journey, and I hope you liked my video. And I ask forgiveness for any mistake in my language, because of course it's not my first language. So I ask forgiveness if I made any mistake. And I ask you to leave a like if you like the video, to leave a comment. I will be happy to talk to you in the comments too, and also to subscribe to the channel if you like these videos and you want to you want me to publish more about these topics that for me personally are simply important, are simply fundamental for the human existence, you know. And yeah, salam alaikum, and see you soon. Bye.